Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Coming Distractions brought to you by the Nerdpocalypse podcast. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host this week, Jack.
What's up, everybody?
All right, welcome back, Jack. You've been gone for a while.
Thank you. It's nice to be back. It's good to see the studio still looks the same and you haven't burned the house down. And
everything is still here.
Perfect.
Okay, so this episode of Coming Distractions, we are going to review the new adaptation of the Stephen King novel, Gerald's Game. This was edited and directed by Mike Flanagan, who I think this is pretty much his biggest work up until then, up until this, starring Carla Gugino and Bruce Greenwood. Now, the plot of this film is super interesting.
You can say that.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, late 50s couple, they go out to a cabin out in the middle of nowhere to sort of rekindle their marriage because they're having problems. The husband decides he's going to bring some handcuffs his wife, Jessie, to the bed for, some sexual games. Things go left. He ends up dying, having a heart attack and dying, and she is trapped, handcuffed to this bed. And of course, it's sort of a survival race against time sort of situation. And because it's based on a Stephen King novel, it's largely psychological in its craziness. Jack, you and I both saw this movie. We both saw this movie. You also read the book. So I'm also really interested to hear your perspective. What did you think of the movie first? And then what do you think comparative to the book?
I'm a longtime Stephen King fan, obviously, as you know. I liked the movie. It was way more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
It's probably my least favorite Stephen King novel, so I wasn't looking forward to the movie. I have a lot of weird feelings about the book because it's really weird and strange and kind of creepy and perverse. This is one of those novels that he wrote that is kind of in his weird period. But the movie is a great adaptation of it. It kind of cuts to the meat of the story. It's much shorter than the book. Yeah. It's interesting. It's really cool the way they filmed it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was better than it had any right to be. I thought it kind of falls short at the ending. But I'd give it a solid 3.5 out of 5. It's also not particularly scary. It's more a thriller.
Yeah, it's just like a mental thriller.
Yeah. But I liked it. What did you think?
So for me, I'd probably go a 3.5 as well. Yeah. I thought it had a little bit of a pacing issue sort of in the middle there where I was like, well, are we getting to the story? Are we not getting to the story?
Right.
But the way the film is set up is super interesting. I've never read the book. I only saw the trailer. I was like, okay, Stephen King, this is going to be twisted. And then the trailer was like, yep, okay, this is super twisted.
Right. Yeah.
But I liked that the movie took sort of a divergence that I didn't see coming, right? Which was this idea of what's going on in her head the entire time all of this shit is going on, and what is happening is triggering mentally in her, and you find out a little bit more about her background and their marriage and things like that, which I thought was really cool. The ending was interesting. Obviously, we're not going to talk spoilers because it is definitely worth your time to watch it, to check it out. By the way, this is a Netflix original movie, so
it is.
This is on Netflix right now.
Worth your time. Support everything Netflix does, obviously, as much as you can.
Yeah.
And again, great production value for Netflix production.
Yeah.
We may not know what else Mike Flanagan has done because I don't know if he's ever done anything else. This might be his first.
I'll try to look it up, but
idea.
I have. No, he doesn't even have a Wikipedia. So just quickly, I have no idea.
This could almost be a one room play.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I could totally see this as a play
for sure. And I didn't think about that until I watched the movie, but I liked it. The aspect of not necessarily knowing what's real and what isn't real is what keeps you going. I think,
because there's a couple moments where you're like, oh. Wait, no, nope, that's not happening, and that did play well for the story. I thought, I thought the acting from Carla Gugino was really great because she really carried the movie because she obviously had to,
for sure.
And then Bruce Greenwood as the husband was interesting because this isn't really giving anything up, but after he dies, that's not the end of Bruce Greenwood's time in the movie, right?
Right.
Most of his time in the movie is this idea of Bruce speaking to her and being like, this is what's going on. You need to do X, you need to do Y, and stuff like that. And that to me was a super interesting aspect because I was like, I like Bruce Greenwood. Like, damn, it sucks this guy's going to be in this movie for like 30 seconds.
Right.
But yeah, he's there pretty much the whole time, but in like sort of in her head, talking to her, which I thought was a cool perspective. Yeah, all in all, I thought it was a pretty fun movie. Fun in quotes, right? As much as fun as you could put on it.
Again, without getting into spoilers, there's like a lot of creepy stuff that Stephen King does. There's some weird sexual things that are at the core of the story, beyond the kinkiness of the handcuff scene in the beginning.
Yes, far beyond.
And interestingly enough, too, it was originally, the novel was supposed to be a companion novel to Dolores Claiborne, which is another novel he wrote that year, which actually I think was the best-selling novel of the entire year, 1992.
Now, what is the story of that one?
I don't even remember because I didn't read it. It was one of those weird years, like, he spent some time in the 90s trying to write companion books. Another one was, like, Desperado and something else I don't remember that were supposed to directly interrelate. And this particular pair of novels, Dolores Claiborne and Gerald's Game, was supposed to revolve around the eclipse, which, again, not spoilers, there's an eclipse that focuses pretty largely in the story.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of backstory to the book and why the book was there that they completely threw away for the movie, which really benefited the movie because not having that sort of need to delve as deep into the novel, I think helped the movie as well. They could have done this in 3 hours. They could have done this in a mini series. That's how much stuff was going on in the book. And it was a taut hour and 40 minutes. They got in, they got out.
Yeah. And I think that's like you said, I think that's to the film's credit, right?
For sure.
They like you said earlier, they found the meat of the story and they focused on that and they gave you that story. They gave you a little bit of extra, but didn't stray too far. Again, they had a little bit of a pacing issue in the middle, but honestly, the movie is so short, like at an hour and 45 minutes, which is not a bad thing in this case. The pacing issue I noticed, but I'm not sure a lot of people would notice because the movie is moving at a clip, right? Like it doesn't really have time to bullshit. But it was good. I actually thought it was really good. Yeah. What I am enjoying is sort of this Stephen King renaissance since it did so well. Yep. Is it seems that all these like there's just a bunch of different writers and directors who are kind of like, I've always wanted to do a Stephen King book, so let me do these stories. But they're picking a lot of his stuff that's not as mainstream, which is kind of cool to see. Instead, I mean, I know they're going to do a remake of The Stand and stuff like that, but there's so many other things that they can touch on that are just right for that. And these kind of movies, I mean, I don't know what the budget is. I unfortunately don't have that information.
Not much.
It had to 15 million, maybe.
I mean, the quote unquote monsters of the movie, I mean, it's all very practical effects, not a whole lot of.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they spent more than a couple $1 million on this, and a lot of that probably went to the actors, and they probably did this in a weekend.
I don't see what.
Week.
Yeah,
not really long.
There's probably not a lot of production value. Yeah. So, but because of that, you can crank out something like this and make it happen, and it works. So,
if you would have told me that Gerald's Game of all the Stephen King novels was about to become a popular thriller movie and it was good, I would have laughed in your face.
Right.
There's so many other choices of Stephen King works that you could have done. I mean, I'd love to see like a decent Firestarter remake. I mean,
I wouldn't doubt
there's a lot of good properties. Oh yeah, now with it doing so well, they're just gonna inundate the world with Stephen King stuff, which is fine.
Yeah.
And for the Stephen King fans out there is almost a throwaway line in the middle of the movie that ties this to The Dark Tower and all of Stephen King's other seminal works. Yeah. And if you're a fan, you'll catch it. If you're not, you'll miss it. It doesn't matter to the overall story, but it's a nice nod.
I didn't know until you told me.
Yeah, I was right on the Facebook Messenger, like, hey, did you catch that? And you were like, face of
just the blank emoji face. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like little things like that show Mike Flanagan was clearly clearly a real Stephen King fan.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Those kind of things are important. That is it for this episode of Coming Distractions. Thank you for joining us. Remember, you can listen to the audio versions of these in the podcast feed for Coming Distractions, or you can go to comingdistractionspod.com. Also, remember to go and listen to full episodes of the Nerdpocalypse podcast, which is the podcast that we do about movies, TV, all that other stuff. You can catch that on this YouTube page, youtube.com/the Nerdpocalypse, as well as the nerdpocalypse.com. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
Thanks.